Here we go. Spiritual gumbo, the affliction. Not just any kind of affliction. Talking about a special kind of affliction. That which I had spoke on uh, before, that had been acted upon by one Sarah herself unto Agar the Egyptian, and she afflicted her. And before you get carried away, please note that the land of Egypt only ever treated the Hebrew people, as far as you know, right, from the seed of Abraham, proper. They treated Abraham proper. Abraham went in there and played and doubled down and did the okey doke. And because of that, you just have to look at it a little more glass half full and not glass half empty. But before we get into reading the Exodus, let's just go ahead and break off into this and just understand that all this is meant to be seen a certain way. The first and the most important is this. As we start here in Exodus chapter 1, verse 1, and it says, "These are the names of the sons of Israel." That is one of the most important things to understand about the affliction, about the party, the actual bloodline of people who is specifically being afflicted, not just any old group of Hebrews, but going on. "These are the names of the sons of Israel that came into Egypt together with Jacob their father. They came in each with their whole family: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judas, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Aser. But Joseph was in Egypt. And all the souls born of Jacob were 75. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel increased and multiplied, and became numerous, and grew exceedingly strong, and the land multiplied them. And there arose up another king over Egypt, excuse me, who knew not Joseph. And he said to his nation, Behold, the race, not just any old thing, the race of the children of Israel is a great multitude, and is stronger than we. Come, let us deal craftily with them, lest at any time they be increased, and whensoever war shall happen to us, they also shall be added to our enemies, and having prevailed against us in war, they will depart out of the land." Now stop right there. Let's go ahead and speak to several major things that are not mentioned, because most people don't even think about them because they don't have the mind to think about it. Number one, Joseph made the Egyptian country during a time of famine. When you say rich on rich on rich, it's stupid crazy how rich the Egyptians are right now. So it didn't say that the Israelites had more wealth than the Egyptians. That's not what it said. It's that they were stronger, that they were a hardier people. So with this being said, it should be noted that the feeling of jealousy is in one of physical adequacy, not one in substance. Okay. Having said that, these Egyptians aren't they're not grateful. That's the easiest way to say that. And let me just go ahead and just move forward. Do you realize how it takes a new king to come up to become completely ungrateful and say, you know what, let's deal craftily with them, lest they get way too strong for us, join our enemies, beat us down, and then leave when it's all said and done, right? Leave us in shambles, right? I said, we don't want that. Okay, boom. Logically speaking, this all makes sense, but let's just go ahead and keep it pushing. Let's keep reading. Where are we at? And so we're at verse 9. And he said to his nation, Behold, the race of the children of Israel is a great multitude, and is stronger than we. Come, let us deal craftily with them, lest at any time they be increased, and whensoever war shall happen to us, these also shall be added to our enemies, and having prevailed against us in war, they will depart out of the land. And he set over them taskmasters, who should afflict them in their works. And they built strong cities for Pharaoh, both Pitho and Ramses, and On, which is Heliopolis. Listen to this right this. Listen, listen. The craziest thing that you're hearing right now is that these are places that have already been mentioned. Do you realize that if I go back and I can't read about this before it actually being brought up, not close to this time, because I keep stressing the Messiah is speaking outside of space and time. Unless this is a whole nother city of Ramses, this is another one, right? And it could be. But yo, Heliopolis, oh, there's two of those too? Dang. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, do you understand the level of outside of space and time that the Messiah spoke to confuse the evildoers? I don't think it was meant to confuse the people because the real people got the message right from Moses' mouth. So, and this is the story. Listen, this is the story. This is the part where the Messiah is pretty much breaking his introduction to the guy who's writing the story that we're reading right now. How amazing is that? Anyway, let's just go and keep going forward. I won't get carried away. Verse 12. Whoa. Verse 12. But they humbled them. By so much they multiplied and grew exceedingly strong, and humbled being the Egyptians. Here we go. And the Egyptians greatly abhorred the children of Israel. And the Egyptians tyrannized over the children of Israel by force, meaning that they used to get physical with them. They used to get violent with them, right? This is crazy. These are black people. This is black on black crime. Just in case y'all were ever wondering if I was ever going to bring it up, this is the perfect time. It's black on black crime. Going forward. I know I could have brought it up with what Jacob's sons did to that whole village. That was black on black crime, but I'm not going to talk about that because they raped his sister. So really, it's like retribution, but we don't know if they sent her in or not. It's really just a whole lot of, you see, I don't even want to get carried away with that because it's confusing. We'll just take the Messiah's word for it and allow for all the details that aren't there to escape our mind. However, challenge every spirit. Having said that, verse 14. And they embittered life by hard labors in the clay and in brickmaking, and all the works in the plains, according to all the works wherein they caused them to serve with violence. And the king of the Egyptians spoke to the midwives of the Hebrews. What? Spoke to the midwives of the Hebrews. The name of one, Sephora, and the name of the second, Phua. And he said, when ye do the office of midwives to the Hebrew women, he must be talking to women that aren't women that aren't Hebrew, because to say that to the Hebrew women, you understand what I'm talking about? Like, it doesn't make sense. Anyway, so these women, I don't believe are Hebrews. Having said that, let's go ahead and keep it going. And he said, when you do the office of the midwives to the Hebrew women, and they are about to be delivered, if it be a male, kill it. But if a female, save it. But the midwives feared God, and did not as the king of Egypt appointed them. And they saved the male children alive. And the king of Egypt called the midwives and said to them, why is it that ye have done this thing, and saved the male children alive? This dude, he got some kind of nerve, don't he? And the midwives said to Pharaoh, the Hebrew women are not as the women of Egypt. Right. So if they were really Hebrew, they would say, we Hebrew women. There was no need to say thee and to make it objective. Anyway, the Hebrew women are not as the women of Egypt, for they are delivered before the midwives go in to them. So they bore children. And God did well to the midwives, and the people grew very strong. And as the midwives, excuse me, and as the midwives feared God, they established for themselves families. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, whatever male child shall be born to the Hebrews, cast into the river, and every female save it alive. So this isn't so the same suspect activity that people have been up to for so long. You guys think this stuff like you think that these people made it up. Anyway, you're hearing it now. You're hearing it now. Verse 1 of chapter 2. And there was a certain man of the tribe of Levi, a certain man, right, who took to wife one of the daughters of Levi. So he took to wife a daughter or a woman who's actually of his tribe. He didn't marry another woman who's of the tribe of Israel, right on, or of the children of Israel and another tribe. It's just a straight Levite right here, right? And she conceived and bore a male child. And having seen that he was fair, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, his mother took him for an ark and besmeared it with bitumen and cast the child into it and put it into the ooze by the river. And his sister was watching from a distance to learn what would happen to him. Stop right there. Now, people can try to say that this is the sister of Moses, but I don't believe that. I really, because look, they don't even talk about the chick being born, the sister, whoever that is. So I would have to assume that this sister is the sister of the certain man and not Moses. And that's just my perception. I could be wrong, but it doesn't speak on Moses having a sister right then and there, does it? And the only sister that we know are Miriam and Aaron. And let me just keep reading so that way I can give context to it. And his sister was watching from a distance to learn what would happen to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to the river to bathe, and her maids walked by the riverside. And having seen the ark in the ooze, she sent her maid and took it up. And having opened it, listen, they have to open an ark. So an ark is a closed object. It's closed, y'all. It's closed. Can you hear me? It's not no dang boat. It's a submarine. Anyway, and she put the pitch on it so that way it would float. Just in case you didn't know why she put pitch on it. Well, let me stop. I be in here feeling myself sometimes. Let's go ahead and keep it pushing. Where was I just at before I went half crazy on my soapbox? Daughter of Pharaoh. There we go. Verse 5. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to the river to bathe, and her handmaids walked by the riverside. And having seen the ark in the ooze, she sent her maid and took it up. And having opened it, she sees the babe weeping in the ark. And the daughter of Pharaoh had compassion on it, and said, this is one of the Hebrews' children. Clearly because the child's circumcised. And his sister said to the daughter of Pharaoh, wilt thou that I call to thee a nurse of the Hebrews, and she shall suckle the child for thee? And the daughter of Pharaoh said, go. And the young woman went and called the mother of the child. And this woman, this sister, is not the sister of Moses, but is the sister of the certain man. Be sure of this. And once again, the young lady calls the boy's mother, right? And the daughter of Pharaoh said to her, verse 9, take care of this child and suckle it for me, and I will give thee wages. So the woman's going to get paid to take care of her own baby. And the woman took the child and suckled it. And when the boy was grown and brought to him, and when the boy was grown, she brought him to the daughter of Pharaoh, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses, saying, I took him out of the water. Now, I've been waiting to get to this part. You do realize that if this is the case, Moses is not his name. Right. That's not the name his mother gave him. So this man potentially actually could have been known as something else, because the name Moses is the one given to him by Pharaoh, his daughter, and it means I took him out of the water. That's what his name means. Right. Verse 11. And it came to pass in the length of time that Moses, having grown, went out to his brethren, the sons of Israel. So he didn't discriminate from one tribe or the other. He just knows that if they're from Israel, they're my brethren. Now listen to this part right here. It's very, very, very interesting. And having noticed their distress, he sees an Egyptian smiting a certain Hebrew of his brethren, the children of Israel. Listen, a certain Hebrew, because there's other Hebrews who are not the children of Israel who are in the land of Egypt. Can you dig that? And having looked round this way and that way, listen to this. This is how gutter this dude is. He sees this happening with the Egyptian. Remember, we already read that they were using the iron fist. They were making the Hebrews do this by force. Okay? And so when Moses sees this, he's like, what? Right on. Check this out. This is a guy who's been trained in the palace. He's military trained. He's all that. He has all those skills, y'all. Plus, he was taught to be a herder for the first 12 years of his life. Come on. So he has the sensibilities of both sides. He knows that these are his people. This is how you know that Moses could not have known that these were his people if he had been brought up in the palace his whole life. Thank you very much. Having said that, let's just go ahead and go forth. And having looked this way and that way, he sees no one. And he smote the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Verse 13. And having gone out the second day, he sees two Hebrew men fighting. And he says to the injurer, wherefore smitest thou thy neighbor? And he said, who made thee a ruler and a judge over us? Wilt thou slay me as thou yesterday slewest the Egyptian? Then Moses was alarmed and said, if it be thus, the matter has become known, and Pharaoh has heard this matter. And Pharaoh heard this matter and sought to slay Moses. And Moses departed from the presence of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And having come into the land of Midian, he sat on the well. Stop right there. Do y'all realize what happened? Do y'all realize what happened? Like the actual what just took place. So he chose up his people, and Pharaoh then chose up his people. Recognized game. That's what just happened. Going forth. And now we're with the Midianites. You know, those Ishmaelitish people. You know, Midian, son of Ishmael. Anyway. 11 daughters. Excuse that. Feeding the flock of their father Jotham. And they came and drew near until they filled their pitchers to water the flock of their father Jotham. And the shepherds came and were driving them away. And Moses rose up and rescued them and drew water for them and watered their sheep. And he said to them, excuse me. And they came to Raguel their father. And he said to them, why have ye came so quickly today? So he's pretty much talking to his daughters like, oh man, how'd y'all get done so fast? And they said, an Egyptian delivered us from the shepherds and drew water for us and watered our sheep. And he said to his daughters, where is he? And why have you left the man? Call him therefore that he may eat bread. And Moses was established with the man. And he gave Sephora, his daughter, to Moses to wife. And the woman conceived and bore a son, and called his name Gersam, saying, I am a sojourner in a strange land. And in those days, after a length of time, the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel groaned because of their task, and cried, and their cry and their cry because of their task went up to God. And God heard their groanings. And God remembered his covenant with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel and was made known to them. Verse 1 of chapter 3. And Moses was feeding the flock of Jotham, his father-in-law, the priest of Madian. So he didn't just go to anywhere. He went to a priest's house. He went to a priest household. Interesting, huh? Right? And he brought the sheep nigh to the wilderness and came to the mount of Koreb. And an angel of the... Now, this part right here is about to get deep. I got to break it down to you. This is why we're still going. After this part, I'm gonna cut it out so that way you guys have time to think about it. Here we go. Put your thinking caps on. And an angel of the Lord appeared to him in the flaming fire, or fire or flame, out of the bush. And he sees the bush burn with fire. But the bush was consumed. And Moses said, I will go near and see this great sight, why the bush is not consumed. So it's not that he was, as people like to play around and talk all this burning bush nonsense, he actually was more amazed. He's like, whoa, the bush is not on fire? I mean, it's on fire, but it's not burning up? Like what? Like, imagine if you've seen a tree in the middle of, let's say, like the middle of summer, right? And it was on fire, and it's in its full bloom, and it has, like, I don't know, anything on the bush, any kind of vegetation on the bush, and it's the same color. That's an amazing sight, my friends. You got to know what's going on. That's not normal. Here we go. And Moses said, verse 3, I will go near and see this great sight, why the bush is not consumed. Verse 4, and when the Lord saw he drew nigh to see, the Lord called him out of the bush, saying, Moses, Moses. And he said, what is it? And he said, draw not nigh hither. Loose thy sandals from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Let's stop right there. I'm about to break something down to y'all. It literally, this is about to be super duper huge. There are several different spectra and levels of dimension at play right now. The level of physical dimension that Moses exists in, the dimension in the realm that the angel itself brings forth the fire, and then now the realm where the Lord, and I'm going to coin this to being the Messiah, and you'll see why in a moment, because it's going to change his talk. And then the Most High makes himself known too. Is deep. It's not the angel of the Lord, but it's an angel of the Lord. Now let's just go ahead and keep on reading. In the middle of verse 3 again. And he said, draw not nigh hither. Loose thy sandals from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Verse 6. And he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses turned away his face, for he was afraid to gaze at God. See, listen to this. Stop right there. He understood that the fire right now is no longer just an angel of the Lord who created the situation, but now this is actually the Messiah talking to him, and he's afraid to look. He's like, holy smokes. He's actually scared right now. Now let's just keep reading, because the force of authority is about to change, and it's about to really blow your mind. It blew my mind the other day when I was reading it again. I was like, oh yeah, this is for sure. We're reading. Oh, I know I'm not tripping all the way. Let's just say it like that. Might not be tripping at all. And the Lord said to Moses, I have surely seen the affliction of my people that is in Egypt, and I have heard their cry caused by their taskmasters, for I know their affliction. And I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them out of the land, and to bring them into a good and wide land, and to a land flowing with milk and honey, and to the place of the Canaanites, and the Kittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Girgasites, and the Evites, and the Jebusites. And now, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come to me, and I have seen the affliction with which the Egyptians afflict them. And now, come, I will send thee to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and thou shalt bring out my people, the children of Israel, from the land of Egypt. And Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and that I should bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt? And God spoke to Moses, saying, I will be with thee, and this shall be a sign to thee, that I shall send thee forth when thou bringest out my people out of Egypt. Then ye shall serve God in this mountain. So where he's at, he's in a mountain, and he's telling them, you're going to serve him in this mountain. And Moses said to God, behold, I shall go forth to the children of Israel, and shall say to them, the God of our fathers has sent me. Listen to this, it's about to get deep. And they will ask me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? Listen to this. And God spoke to Moses, saying, and it's about to change, the whole authority changes right now. I am the being. This is the all capital letters, Thebeing. And he said, thus shall ye say to the children of Israel, the being has sent me to you. Listen, and it's going to, and now it's talking, now boom. That is so deep, it's so heavy, because listen to what it says right here. And God said again to Moses, thou shalt say to the sons of Israel, listen to this, the Lord God, particular, of the fathers, of our fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and my memorial to the generations of generations. Stop right there. If people don't realize that the Messiah is doing the bidding of the Most High, if he is following a directive of the Most High, and he speaks for the Most High, from that directive, what he is saying is absolute and whole. What I'm saying to you right now is this, is that it seems to me that during this meeting, Moses was introduced to, once again, several different forces of power, of spectra. Okay? Even the Messiah is under the Most High God. This is documented in the book of Enoch by Enoch himself with his own two eyes. Man turned into an angel. And the man who hadn't realized that he had been turned into an angel, merely that he had been translated. Having had said that, I think I want you guys to mull that over for a little bit. Is why now is he the being, and why now is his? What is there even a name thrown out there? This is the part where Joshua confirms everything. The idea of God worship and the what people call God worship, what you think is praising the Most High or giving homage to the Messiah for saving us from ourselves, and then praising the Most High God because of such things. You see, these are the little things that a person must actually really think about. Small things, but they should still think about them. And having said that, I've taken up so much of your time. I would love for you to mull this over. I know that I went off a few times, but I do mean that if you cannot take this serious, I can't do this if it's not serious. I know there's a few people who think it's serious, but it would be nothing to record and to send them audio. No big deal. I, there's people who are taking from this and they're doing all the wrong things, evil things with the information. It's not a conspiracy, my friends, brothers and sisters, my people. It's not a conspiracy what I'm talking to you about. The the Most High God spoke to Moses through the Messiah, through an angel of the Lord. Let that sink in. Spiritual Gumbo, out.